Okay, everyone. It's Devorah Esther here. Welcome to another edition of Kosher 2.0. It feels like it's been kind of a little bit of a while, and I just want to thank everyone. I've had so much going on, so many other projects, all good things, mamash, all good things. And putting together these little health broadcasts, which I really love to do because they really, I can't even tell you how many people are getting such great benefit from this. I mean, I've had people come out to shiurs. I've had people contact me. Just amazing. So, but nevertheless, putting together these podcasts, they take time. For one, a lot of these things, when I learned them, were during my illness, which is going to be close to now 2 years that I've had refuah shlema. So Baruch Hashem for that. So, I want to kind of put together all the thoughts and the facts because I know them and I've accepted them and I digested them and I've moved on. But, bringing the information to someone who hasn't heard it for the first time, I like to have all those things together to paint a picture because it is going out to a mass, audience here. And by the way, thank you for all the newcomers who have signed on. This broadcast just seems to be taking on a life of its own. One of our newest comers was at a retreat, and these kind of teachings, if you were, were talked about there. So Baruch Hashem, the information is getting out, and people are looking to get healthy. And as always, thank you, my beloved Hashem. Thank you for giving me the strength and the energy to do this. Surely you have done this out of your tremendous mercy and kindness, and you've given me this information. And as you require, those of you who know, who've been going through the Tomer Devorah, which it tells us that we are required to teach what we learn. So thank you, Shem, for giving to me, and thank you for giving me the ability to give it to you guys. So with that said, we're going to talk about a topic today that you may want to hang on to, hold on tight to your tickles and your shaitels, girls, because this one is like, I remember when I learned this back when I was ill, and it's about cholesterol. And I started to look into it because my cholesterol was kind of going off. And if you were like me, you were kind of like, all the HDL, LDL. I mean, it seems very intimidating. And all is like, it's bad. And it's got this, you're going to die of a heart attack. And it's just, mamash, like you go to the doctors and you just think like the whole world is going to come crashing down on you sometimes the way, so I don't know if anyone's like me. I always like to research. I don't even care the fact that you've got an MD on the back of your name. I have to understand it, for myself. So I went in and I delved into this because, of course, I like to look at the alternatives, and I like to have for myself information. I like to arm myself with information, especially when you're speaking to a doctor. That's something that my doctors have always respected. The fact that when I came to them with researched information, and they were able to take me seriously because of the fact that they knew this wasn't just something I heard, on Dr. Oz and just decided I'll give it a go. This was something that I really had put thought into. I had really researched, and I laid out my case just the way I did in the courtroom. I did it the same way here. You're always laying out your case. So we're going to talk about cholesterol. And what is cholesterol? Okay. And I'm hoping that this kind of gives you a different perspective of what cholesterol is, because we're taught a lot about cholesterol. And a lot of times it seems that what we're hearing about cholesterol is very bad. But I have to tell you, if you've been following Kosher 2.0 for a while, there's a lot of times you'll hear me say about the wisdom that Hashem has in his creation. And the fact that the body makes cholesterol should tell you that Hashem thought this was so important to have. So let's get down to the nitty gritty of cholesterol. And this way, hopefully, we can have a respect for it and learn how to use cholesterol in our body to a positive way. So cholesterol is a waxy steroid substance. It's in the body. And every cell wall in your body is made of cholesterol. In addition to that, the reproductive hormones, such as your testosterone and your estrone, progesterone, and all the other ones that I again, I'm not a medical professional, so I'm sure there's like a class and a spelling bee where they probably have to like spell these out and say them. And there's like a great, maybe you get your med degree after you can say them all properly. But all of these hormones, including your stress hormones such as cortisol, they are made up with cholesterol. And 75% of the white matter in your brain, and that which insulates the nerves and the myelin, is made up of cholesterol. So it's really, really, really important. That's just to give you an idea. You hear about these increased rates of dementias and things of like that. And I wonder, this is just me, I wonder if all this advice about low cholesterol diets and low fat diets, is now, when you have that myelin they're not insulating the nerves, they begin to like touch each other and they go haywire. So who knows? That's just my 2 cents. Take it or leave it. You know what I say. I'm not the doctor. I'm just giving you information here. And cholesterol is a molecule that's made in the liver, and it goes out through the blood via these lipoproteins. And this is where we're getting some of these acronyms that we're going to break down. So the acronyms like HDL, LDL, and VLDL, we all heard of them, mostly HDL and LDL. And what they mean is HDL stands for high density lipoprotein, LDL is a low density lipoprotein, and VLDL is a very low density lipoprotein. So there really is, it's funny, there really isn't such thing as a good or a bad. It's really the size of the protein. Kind of like Louis Vuitton. Whoever's gone to Louis Vuitton, you know that they have like 3 sizes in general. The PM, the MM, and the GM. And this is kind of the same way. So it's just a difference in size. So now I remember this was a statement that really changed the way I looked at cholesterol. And I really had to say it a few times in my head and 3 times backwards, because it just, like with a lot of things, I think when you start to go around the block of life, you start to change your perspective and you look at things in a different way. And there was a naturopath doctor that said that no disease is caused by cholesterol. No diseases are caused by cholesterol, but there are some diseases that will cause a high cholesterol. Now, when I researched this really actually does make a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense. So cholesterol really is a marker that is an indication about how well your body is handling oxidative and free radical stress. Now, we spoke about this in antioxidants. We talked about ORAC scores. We talked about the importance of having antioxidants in the body. And this is one more reason. It really is a life-saving thing to have these antioxidants in the bodies. So what happens when we're having, when we're eating these diets and we're low in antioxidants, we're low in nutrition? Usually where you hear about the cholesterol in this, where it's gotten kind of a bad rap, is when somebody's starting to get atherosclerosis, which is a buildup of plaque in the artery, which leads up to the arteries being clogged. And then the blood will back up, and then anything that happens past that, the tissues and the surrounding tissues of the heart will begin to kind of die off, and this kind of leads to a heart attack. So this is kind of, it's almost like show me who your friends are and I'll tell you your friend. It's kind of like guilty by association here. So the fact that when this happens, a lot of times there's this high buildup of cholesterol. This is kind of where it's getting the bad reputation. But I want to again, give you a new perspective. And a natural doctor had once asked, does a fireman cause fires? Now, you almost think like that is such, of course firemen don't cause fires. And yet the bigger the fire is, the more firemen there are. So this is kind of like the way you have to look at cholesterol. Cholesterol is like the fireman, okay? And the fact that there's cholesterol, even a high percentage of cholesterol in the body, is not an indicator that the cholesterol caused the problem, but it really is an indicator that cholesterol is there to fix a problem. And what is the problem, to kind of illuminate this a little more, rivers tend to, they have, they flow and they have these bends. And at the bends of the river, there's like these sand and silt deposits, which pile up and they cause the river to bend even more. And after a while, it'll bend more and it'll cause like this oxbow kind of effect because of the deposit in the river. And eventually, like, this process continues on. It'll bend more, it'll deposit more. The bigger the bend, the more deposit will come in. Think of it like a cup, it'll hold more. So it bends more, it deposits more. And it keeps doing this until finally it kind of cuts off that buildup, that little pond. It makes like a little pond, and it cuts it off from the rest of the river. Now, this is the same thing that's happening to us. In our arteries where there's bending, the cholesterol is kind of depositing in and it's bending and doing the same little dance. And it's kind of doing a do-si-do in there in the body. So the ironic thing is that arteries clog, but veins don't. So that should kind of like really just put in, one would ask if cholesterol was so bad, why isn't it building up everywhere? So this kind of really makes you think about what is really going on. And so when we're asking what is going on, the next question that I think one would naturally ask is, what do I do to kind of prevent this or halt this from going on? And part of the problem is the food that we're eating. And we've talked a lot about food. But the damage it's causing, not only because of its free radical, effect that some of these foods have, especially when you're eating all the wrong foods, and it causes an inflammation process. And when the body is under-nutrified and doesn't have what it needs, especially if you don't have a high ORAC score flowing out throughout your body, this is going to be causing the oxbow effect in your body. And then the artery begins to tear, which can lead to an internal bleeding. So to prevent this from happening, the cholesterol comes in and kind of makes a patch into the body where the tear is, preventing from that bleeding. Now, I got to tell you, like, did you not get like how great Hashem is? I mean, this is like the wisdom of Hashem. While we're going out and thinking what we're going to wear today, our body is doing all this hard work. So it's really important that we really fuel our body with all the right tools to really, make a great vessel to go out there and serve Hashem. And one of the ways you want to do that is you want to increase this ORAC score. And we talked about this in the antioxidants portion. And especially if you're dealing with any kind of chronic illness, I've told you, I'm upwards around 200,000 a day. Most people, if they're lucky, they're getting 20,000 a week. I mean, that's how far off the mark our eating habits have become. When you're eating the excessive chips and the oils, especially if they've been fried, we talked about this oxidative damage that happens. This just, you're really at a great risk. This is why, like all these kinds of foods, they really have to be eaten in such moderation. This cannot be like a free-for-all on the chips all day. I'm gonna take a big bag. And listen, my husband and I, we have we have that issue, and we have to really police ourselves, because if and thankfully we're a lot better about it. But if you were like me, if you had like a whole bag of chips, it wasn't just like I'll have 2 or 3. It's like maybe there would be 2 or 3 left before I've cut myself off. So it's really important to make sure that you're really diligent about the kind of food that you're eating. And, of course, that you're eating foods that boost this ORAC score, and your supplements should, by the nature of the supplements alone, will automatically boost up these ORAC scores. So the other thing, now I gave a voice note over about super selenium. That's what I call it, but it's called selenium. And I told you all the great things that it did. And here's some more great things that it does. Okay. So we talked about antioxidants having this one-shot deal. It's a one-shot deal, which is why it's important to have a high number of antioxidants flowing through the body, because it just grabs one free radical and cycles it out, and that's it. And c'est la vie. When you have selenium in the body, selenium will actually recycle that antioxidant because it has a molecule called glutathione. And glutathione, helps to recycle out this antioxidant to kind of use it over and over again. One more thing to sing the praises about selenium. This is a mineral that Hashem has created. I just got to tell you, like, when you're talking about one, the more you go on and the more you follow along with Kosher 2.0, you'll understand there really is this synergistic effect in the body, and that everything needs everything, really. Just like all of us need each other all the time. Everything, like your body needs so much. It needs so much. We are literally walking miracles every day. And Hashem has given us all this wisdom in his creation, and we're passing it by for like ice cream and chips. We really, really, really have to come to a place where we're starting to respect, the wisdom of Hashem, especially in nature and food. And if you follow today's Tomer Devorah, it was so, what Hashem's timing as well, just, talking about how you have to have compassion for everything, not just because like it's not a human. And this is so fitting. This is such a testimony to Hashem, really, to have respect for everything. And it really is incumbent upon us to learn about the wisdom of all of this. So I want to thank everyone for tuning into another edition of Kosher 2.0. I want to welcome again all the newcomers who have come and have reached out. And I know that a lot of you are suffering with some tremendous illnesses. So I just want to really, really wish refuah shlema to all of those who are on this broadcast who are suffering with very, very traumatic illnesses and very long-term illnesses. And I really, really pray that Hashem just sends you the koach, and that he sends you that refuah shlema, and just that time of closeness with him, because there, unfortunately, there is no, I don't know that I've ever experienced a closeness to Hashem like that of when I'm in the time of a broken heart. But unfortunately, that is the way it is, and we're seeing more and more illnesses. So I really, really hope that whatever Hashem has taught me does help someone else, because I know what it is to be in that position. I know what it is to feel helpless. And I know what it is to think that perhaps your prayer is not going to be answered. But never fear, Hashem is with us, and he is with you right at this moment. So I just want to wish everyone again refuah shlema, and thanks again for tuning into another edition of Kosher 2.0.